Welcome to another episode here in Success is Contagious. And today I'm very happy to have you here, Kate. Welcome to my podcast, Your Success is Contagious.
Oh, thank you, Vilma. I'm so happy to be here.
Yes, and the story that we have is pretty amazing because I remember that I met you at the first day of our daughters that are in the same class. How weird was that? And then I was reading your book and I didn't know that you were my neighbor. So
it's so funny.
Yes, and I really like one night. I started reading because my friend Maida Tomasena, she was reading it. I was like, do less. This sounds like interesting. Let me do it. Let me read it. And it was like kind of amazing. So thank you for not only inspiring here today to my community and your community, but also write. Because I think there is magic. You are like a mentor and you can help so many people when you write. And I think that we also share like our beginning in the business because you start writing a blog.
I started a blog in 2009.
Wow, I started in 2011.
Amazing.
So imagine.
Early days in the digital marketing world.
Yes, now people talk about Instagram, but we were bloggers, like for real.
I still consider myself. It's amazing to me like how people even run businesses without like an email list and a website. And I'm like, what are you doing? So anyway, that's a whole other conversation.
I know, but now that we have like broadcast channel and DM list, I think people need to understand that that's important for marketing.
Yes.
But a list is everything.
It is everything. Everything. It is for sure the 80-20. If you're going to invest in anything, it's your email list. It's the 20% that brings in 80% of the results for sure.
Yes, but we also share as a marketing strategy chatbots.
Yes!
How amazing are
chatbots? They're so great. Honestly, we just started working with chatbots in March, and it has catapulted our revenue and our engagement and our list growth. And it's very easy. Like it's not like we have to do extra things and we just get better results because it's another channel to gather interest and connection from what we were already doing.
So this is, I want to bring like the marketing part because everybody that I interview in this podcast, they are successful people, but they also invest in marketing. It's not only like, oh, it's okay, I do just enough. So what do you think about marketing for your business? How is marketing helping you to help other people?
Well, many years ago, I went to a conference called the World's Greatest Marketing Conference.
Okay.
And I was just very new. I think it was like 2008, 2009. Okay. I was just a little baby business owner.
Okay.
And something that somebody said, I can't remember who it was.
Okay.
They said, for every dollar that you're spending in your business, 90% should be on like front end marketing and 10% should be on back end.
Wow.
And also of your time. Now, you don't need to use those exact percentages.
Yes, okay.
But it struck me in terms of, because I came from an academic world. My parents are doctors. I was like an art history major. I was not from the world of sales and marketing at all.
Okay.
But that stuck with me. And so one of the things I know is that if people are not showing up at my door, I can't help them. So it doesn't matter how service oriented you are. If you're not doing something to get the people there, they're not going to be served. And so that's why marketing is so critical and investing time. I am a student of marketing. I will be a student of marketing for the rest of my life. I read marketing books. I take courses all the time. I listen to marketing podcasts because even though I'm actually like in digital marketing years, I'm geriatric. Like I've been at this for a long time. Yes. It changes constantly. And I always just, even with the chat box, like I want to know what's new, what's interesting, not to chase a shiny object because I know the same principles are going to, they're going to stick to consistency, but just to know like, are there ways that we could be getting a better result with less effort and less action, then I'm going to want to do that. So I always am learning.
I like that about you, and today we're going to be talking about two topics that I know that you not only know about them, but you really believe in them: time and money. But first, I have a question that I ask to everybody here. I don't want to read your biography. That is going to be amazing. No, please introduce yourself. Who is Kate?
So,
today.
Yeah, who am I today?
Yes.
So I'm a writer.
Okay.
I'm really a curious human.
Okay.
I'm very interested in what are we doing here as humans? What is going on with this life? And then bringing solutions and research and practical information to people to help them have a better relationship with their money, have a better relationship with their time, and have less stress, essentially.
Wow.
So I research, I write, I talk about that stuff on the internet. I'm also a mom, so I have two little girls, and that's how we met because our kids go to the same school. And but I'm like a researcher. I'm like a perpetually curious human, and then I just write about and talk about what I learn. And I wrote 2 books: Do Less Than Money, a love story, and
we are going to put all the links.
Classes, courses.
They are both great, I promise you. So let's begin with one question. What is money for you, Kate, right now?
Money is a way to fertilize or enhance our visions and our commitments and our values. Okay. So it's one of a variety of ways that we can essentially vote for more of what we want to see in the world. Through money is neutral, but what you put it on, it's like fertilizer. So if you've got a garden and you put fertilizer on the weeds will grow. If you put fertilizer on the roses and on the tomatoes and the roses will grow. And so money to me is a way that we can fertilize more of what we want in our own lives, but then also in the world.
Wow, that's very amazing. I never heard like a definition of that way. So in my community, because this podcast, I have a lot of entrepreneurs. Some of them even are parents. And I'm going to ask you something at the end about money and be a parent in this moment right now. But they are afraid of money. Or sometimes I feel like they are only chasing money. And what we can all see through your social media is like you are living, correct me if I'm wrong, the best moment of your life. And I see you there. I see you there.
I'm having the best time I've ever had in my life.
Wow. And I see you. That's contagious, even through Instagram stories, you know? And I see like, you have a beautiful business, but I don't see you like a slave of your business working all the time. And also I see you really, like, it's not only your mindset, like I feel this energy that you're really abundant. So how all the listener can start switching or changing their mindset to have a better abundance mindset and to not be chasing money.
Okay. So 2 things. One is I think that nature is our best teacher for pretty much everything.
Okay, why?
Because when we look at the natural world, all of these systems and structures are working to provide for everything and everyone. And there's not like conscious thought about it, right? Like animals and plants and the ecosystem, all of it works together. And there's all these brilliant designs and strategies. There's a whole school of thought called biomimicry, where we as humans look to the natural world for our best solutions in terms of our human problems. So, for example, when people went and made solar panels, they've improved upon the solar panel design through looking at the cells of leaves. So the leaf cells. So anyway, that's neither here nor there.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
But if we want to learn about abundance and we want to learn about plenty, looking at nature is the best way to do it. Because, if a tree is growing, it's not thinking to itself, I better not take this sunlight. I better not absorb this rain. I better keep myself because there's not enough, there's not enough carbon dioxide. There's not enough rain. There's not enough sunlight. No, a tree is just like, I'm here to be a tree. I'm here to be the most tree I could possibly be. And it's not thinking to itself like, if I grow too big, I'm gonna make it impossible for that other tree or that bush or the hydrangea or whatever. So nature gives us a great model for abundance.
Wow.
Also, so there's a wonderful book called Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kimmerer. And in that book, she has a chapter called The Three Sisters. And she is an an American indigenous woman. And she talks about the indigenous tradition of planting 3 particular crops together. So beans, corn, and squash. And so they call them the 3 sisters. And what's so fascinating about these 3 plants is that the more that there's something about the way the bean grows and the way the squash grows and the way the corn grows together, that each of them have a specific, like, you know, the corn grows and then it shades the squash in this particular way, so it helps the squash be the best squash it can be in the bean.
Wow.
Whatever. So that's true of all of us. We were all designed to be a specific way, but then we buy into the lie of scarcity. And the lie of scarcity says there's not enough to go around. And there's a zero-sum model, and the better you do, the worse I do. That's absolutely not true. First of all,
thank you for saying
opportunities are like infinite and even more every day. I mean, if we just think about like AI and everything that's happening every single day with innovation, like more and more opportunities are becoming available. And when you shine, when you go out and create opportunity for yourself, literally more opportunities are made for so many people. I mean, imagine if you had been thinking to yourself, I can't really succeed in my business because then there will be less for other people. So I better stay small and I'll just like work out of a tiny corner office in my, you know, in my basement or whatever. Well, we don't have basements in Florida, but you get it. You wouldn't have all this opportunity for all these people who work with you, and then also all the millions of people on the internet who are following along. And so nature, number 1, and then number 2, so look at nature. If you want to rewire yourself to see what true abundance looks like, look around at the natural world and notice how plants and animals are not shrinking because they think that somehow there's not enough, because there is. And then secondly, is to really look at all the ways that scarcity shows up in your life. So does it show up in the way you're thinking about time? Is it showing up in the way you're thinking about energy? Or is it showing up in the way you're thinking about money? And every time, if you can just become more aware of all the times you're thinking in terms of lack or scarcity, just that awareness can often allow us to shift to see, okay, and just ask yourself, not like, oh gosh, I'm thinking scarcity again, but to say, is there another way that I could look at this moment or this circumstance and see it through the eyes of abundance? What would somebody who is looking at this through the eyes of abundance say? Or how would they see it? And then you can start to retrain your brain.
Thank you very much. I never thought like about money in that way, and now I understand why I reserve a villa for the whole month of August to be surrounded, because I said to my husband, like, I don't know what is going on when we came here, but I just feel like it's not only abundance, I feel happiness, like unlimited, everything is unlimited. And now I got it. Thank you very much. So do you have a few habits for your abundance mindset and your money mindset that you like practice, like, I don't know, weekly or every day?
Yes.
Okay.
So number 1 is to savor everything as much as possible. So I start with the feeling of my sheets when I wake up in the morning. So we just got these really nice bamboo sheets, and I was into my sheets before, but these ones are better. So I just start my day with feeling how good the sheets feel on my skin and just enjoying. We also have this really amazing mattress, just like enjoying the feeling in my body. And then I get up and I really savor this smell. I actually open up the coffee thing and I smell the coffee grounds, and then making the coffee, and then I smell the coffee again, and then those first few sips. And here's why. So I find as many moments to savor something that's pleasurable throughout the day. And there's a scientific reason for that. First of all, it just feels good. But and then like life just gets better. Yes. And things like smelling coffee are basically free. So I really love savoring abundant things that cost money for sure, but making sure that I'm also savoring the things that are abundant beyond commerce. Okay. So like I have this bougainvillea plant on my balcony. I am obsessed with this bougainvillea, and I sip my coffee and I look at her and just like the color of the blossoms and the whole experience, it's so divine. And the reason for this is because when we can focus on a sensory experience, so one of the 5 senses, touch, taste, smell, sight, and hearing, right? we are automatically
Uh-huh.
signaling to our nervous system that we are safe. So we're in the present moment, and it is
Wow.
also a nervous system regulating practice. When we are regulated in our nervous system, we have access to far more creative thinking and solution thinking, and we make smarter decisions, and we also think more creatively, and we see more possibilities. When we are in shutdown, when we're anxious, when we're fearful,
Yes.
when we're rushing, when we're whatever, it actually limits the amount of blood flow to our brain, and it actually limits the crossover between our left and right hemispheres, so we don't have access to our full capacity. So I focus on savoring moments of pleasure to signal to my body that I'm safe, so that I'm more present, more magnetic, I see opportunities, I create opportunities, and I also make better decisions.
Wow, that's amazing. What is the relation for you for money and time? Because most people are like, okay, I give you my time, you give me money all the time. So I see for the thing that you share on your social media, that the calendar for you is just a tool. It's not like it's controlling your life. It's not controlling your business.
Right.
But because you're an expert also in things about time. But what is the relation, the direct relation between money and time?
Okay, great. So time and money are both expressions. They're both
Okay.
resources, and they're expressions of are ways that we can move towards what matters to us. So if you want to see what really matters to you, look at your schedule and look at your credit card bill.
Okay, I love that.
Because you can say all these things matter to you, your health, your relationship with God, your family, whatever. But if you look at your calendar, you will see what actually matters to you. And the same thing from a spending perspective. And so money and time are just both such external reflections of the way we are living our lives, and whether the way we're living is aligned with what really matters, or if we're living in a way that's misaligned with what matters. Now, the cool thing is when you start to live in terms of your time, like your schedule, and also what you're putting money towards, in a more aligned way, where like what you say matters to you is evident in your calendar and in your spending, you'll experience more abundance. Things get easier because misalignment creates a lot of friction. It's like if you had two pipes and you're trying to put water through them, but they're not lined up, it's just the water is leaking everywhere. But if you get all the pipes lined up, all of that flow from an energy perspective, which money is really just energy because humans made it up, it's totally pretend. So all of that energy just starts to flow in the right direction, and things get a lot easier. So money and time are both just external reflections of how you're showing up in your life in terms of what you are valuing.
What do you think about when you say you have a book, do less? What is do less for Kate?
So some people read the title of my book, and for some reason they read it as do nothing. And they like to say to me, I can't just sit around. I'm a mom. I have all this going on. I'm a business owner. So listen, I am actually my life is pretty full. I've got 2 little kids. I run a company. I have a lot of friends. I travel. I mean, life is
I have a husband also.
Also the husband who's my business partner. And so, and we do things together. I have a full life.
Yes.
So do less really means do less of the things that don't matter, so you can have more time, energy, and space for the things that really do matter. Because when we put our attention, meaning our time and our energy, towards the things that really matter, we actually don't need to do as many things.
Okay.
Because most of us are conditioned to think that the more things we do, so the busier we are, the better our results will be. That is simply not the case.
Not the case. I teach to the entrepreneurs that follow me that I take Friday for free.
Yes.
That's my flexible day. If I choose, I can work, but I have to choose that. And I remember my mom, I said that in other podcasts, she was crazy when she started working with us in 2020. She's like, why you're not working? You're the CEO. You should be working Friday. What is like, what are you teaching to your employee? That Friday is like a free day. And I'm like, Mommy, I'm working, but I'm working on myself.
Yes.
So when you're talking about do less in this moment, a lot of entrepreneurs are feeling stressed, are feeling bad, are feeling that they are not enough. What are the habits that help you to get there in the position that you are right now?
So I really recommend doing an entire analysis. Doesn't have to take long. Could be 30 minutes.
Okay.
Where you look at what are you spending your time on.
Okay.
And what is the result that you want to get, and actually analyzing to see which of the tasks you're doing are actually leading to a measurable result that you're wanting to see. So let's just take social media, for example. If you are creating, you know, a reel every day and a carousel every day and showing up on stories 10 times a day, okay, fine. But I want to see the analytics to say, like, what's the end game here? So often we get so head down in all the activity that we forget to come up above and say, okay, well, I'm an entrepreneur. What I'm actually after is revenue. And then after revenue, I'm actually after profit margins, so I can keep some of that revenue. And then I'm also asked, so what's the step that needs to happen before the revenue? List growth, maybe.
Yes.
You know, for us, it's always list growth.
Always, all the time.
Okay, great. So how do people end up on our email list? Well, they hear me on a podcast.
Yes.
Or they, you know, they find me on Instagram, or somebody recommends one of my books. Okay, great. So what we need to do then is look at how can I do more activities that lead to those things that I know, because we've analyzed those are the 20% of things. This is Pareto's principle.
Yes.
I'm so into it.
Me too.
80-20 rule.
Yes.
20% of your activities will lead to 80% of your results. Most people are focusing on the 80% of activities that only get them the 20% of the results, which leads them to be exhausted without the results to show for all the time they're putting in. So you just want to flip-flop that. And it does require taking a step back. You might say, like, I don't have time to analyze this. You don't have time not to analyze it, because if you're not looking at what actions lead to the best results, what is my 20% that's leading to the 80%, you're literally wasting all of your time. And you're just like driving down the road, throwing $100 bills out the window.
All the time. I want to go like deep and talk about the family, the husband part with money and the kids. So how are you raising right now your daughter about money and time?
Yes. Okay. So I think that our kids, or my experience has been that our children do not listen to anything we say. They just follow our behavior.
Yes.
So it doesn't really matter what I'm telling my kids. I'm just doing my best to,
of course,
model what it looks like to align with abundance, what it looks like to know that there's plenty of money, there's plenty of time. Money is not my source. Source is my source, like God, the universe, the divine, whatever you want to call it. Like, I don't want my kids to think that money is the end all be all, but I also want them to know that they can get access to it anytime they want through their own resources and creativity, their internal resources, which are a far more important aspect of abundance than external resources.
Okay.
So I do my best to affirm that we have plenty of time. I do my best to, I don't talk about like we can't afford that or that's too expensive.
Oh, I have to remove that.
I don't ever talk about
that. In my home, nobody talk about that.
Now, if they want something that that is just not something we're gonna buy, I talk about, you can want that. You can totally want it. Let's talk about why you want it. And then we can explore what it is that they're after, and maybe we can achieve that desire through a different means. Because the truth is, all of us just want certain things because we think they're going to make us feel a certain way. And every single way we want to feel is available to us right now. So it doesn't mean you can't have the Tesla or the Range Rover or the fancy house or whatever. But when it comes to our children who are not making their own spending decisions, we can affirm that they get to have desires so that they stay in that place of abundance, while also teaching them that the truth is things won't permanently make us feel a certain way. We have to cultivate those feelings within ourselves, and we can do them through all kinds of ways. Like we could build a pillow fort, we can create an art project, or if they're really like there's something they want to buy. My daughter wanted a Barbie dream house, and for whatever reason, I mean obviously I can afford a Barbie dream house, I just didn't want to buy it for her. Okay. I just like didn't. However, I was like, if you really want it, what we're going to do is you're going to go through, it was mostly a space issue. Yes. I was like, we need to get rid of some things you already have because a Barbie dream house is big. Yes. So you're going to go through your room, you're going to find space for the Barbie dream house by removing items. Okay. And then we're going to either donate or you're going to sell those items. And then with what you sell, you can buy your Barbie dream house. So we did a sale in the park, and she didn't make all the money for it, but she made plenty, and then I bought it for her. So she got to have the experience of creating visible resources and having that empowerment that she could have what she wanted if she understood how business works.
Wow, I think that's like a beautiful like legacy that we're giving to our daughters, that we already like resolve or like our past issues and beliefs, that we can like raise kids that way. But have you always had this abundance mindset? What about your husband, Mike? Is he an abundance guy too? Because for example, in my case, Jose knows that I'm the one with the abundance mindset and he's with the scarcity. Like he made comments like, oh, I wish that we can afford that. And I'm like, actually we do. Yeah. What are you talking about? Oh, that's expensive. Like, look, that's so expensive. I'm like, you can buy it, and why, if you like it, you don't want to pay for that? Like, you're gonna have experience. So, what is with you guys?
Okay, that's such a great question. So, I was raised in a household with a mom who's very like abundance mindset, and my dad is super, super scarcity. Okay. So they're very opposite. So I got to learn from both of them, which is kind of cool. Yes. There's a lot of contrast, and I got to pick and choose what I was going to carry forward. Mike grew up in a family that was more traditional around money. Both of his parents are employees, and didn't have, I grew up, half of my family is all entrepreneurs, didn't graduate from college, and all created multi-million-dollar businesses. So that's my mom's side. And then my dad's side, very different. And so when Mike and I got together, I would just talk about, he heard me get off a sales call where I didn't like close immediately, and he was like, what are you doing? Why didn't you close them? And I was like, if they want to do it, they'll come do it. Like, I'm so relaxed about that. I totally trust. And he was like, what? Because how he had been schooled, even in business, was very scarcity. It was like that traditional, like hard hitting, you got to get them in the moment and almost coerce them because otherwise they won't come back. So anyway, it was kind of cool. He really came around to more abundance thinking in those early days. But interestingly, when we started having kids, we almost flip-flopped, where I started having this fear and anxiety and scarcity feeling, where he was like, what are you talking about? Like, there's plenty. There's always been abundance. Why are you nervous? And so he and I have done this interesting dance where one of us has been holding the charge of abundance, and one of us has been holding the charge more of like realistic. And I would say over the last year or so, we're in a beautiful new place where both of us are really more holding the charge of abundance together, and then reminding each other like, hey, that's a little scarcity. And so that's been really fun.
No, thank you very much for sharing that. I just want to like, I have a few questions because I asked to my community, so because we were talking about Instagram. One of the questions I really like it is how you manage your abundance mindset when you have to sell to other. And you were talking already about that, but in your experience, like in the past year, how you have been working to be a better like seller with your mindset.
So I think about it in terms of like our hands. So if we are gripping, and so this is like a hard sales approach, like you have to close them while they're on the call, or like really, hard hitting. That to me is like, it's fear, it's clenching, it's and it's like holding, right? Versus if we open our palms in trust and just let go and trust a little bit more of the outcome, we have opened our palms to receive. And people in general are very attracted to people who are in trust of the right outcome, because we know we've been places where somebody is trying to sell us something and it's like aggressive. Even if I want the thing, I don't want to buy it because I find it repulsive that they want me to buy it so badly. So I just will walk away, versus somebody who's like, oh, you look fabulous in that dress, but there's also this one over there, and take your time, see what you think. Can I get you some sparkling water? Just like creating a luxurious experience and putting their trust in me. Like when I'm making a sale, I want to see somebody in their full power, which means giving them the dignity of making their own decision on their own timeline.
Oh, the dignity. Oh, I think this is like the opposite to all the people that are teaching how to sell all the time.
Yeah, because that's infantilizing people. That's saying, I know better than you do, and also I don't trust you to make a good decision for yourself, so I'm going to manipulate you to do it now, because ultimately I don't trust that my thing is good enough that you would just want to buy it of your own accord. So it has to do with confidence, it has to do with trust, it has to do with relaxation. I also really believe in having multiple streams of income, so at any given time you're not like, oh my god, I'm not going to feed my kid if I don't make this sale, because that's like, oh.
So the other question was really good, because it was like, okay, if I have a client and they are talking to me about like, I want, but money is an issue. How you manage that?
It's great. So generally speaking, money is an easy thing to say is the reason you're not going to do something. I have had, I just found this out actually, a woman who joined my mastermind 2 years in a row. I didn't know this until the very end of the second 2 years, and my mastermind was my highest, revenue or whatever price.
Yes. Your high ticket offer.
Thank you. She told me that she and her fiance decided that she was going to do the mastermind instead of have a wedding.
Wow.
Yeah. So I didn't realize that, but she said it was more important to me to get in this room with you and these women and to grow in this way than it was to throw, this big expensive party that like, whatever. I'm not saying people have to choose in that way. However, it was a great example of when we really want something, we will mostly do what it takes to get it. Now, that being said, also, economic inequity is real, and that's why I produce, and so do you, really great free content that people get results from.
Of course.
So I make sure that that's true, and when we are talking about a paid offer, I know that many times somebody's objection about money is actually because they don't believe in themselves, or there's some past experience that they need to work through, or they don't see the value of the offer. And so I do ask them, if money weren't an issue, would this be, a heck yes for you? And if the answer is yes, then we can unpack. And then if I say, if money weren't an issue, would you want to do this? And if they're really honest with themselves, they say no, then I'm like, well, that's fine then. You don't want to do it, which is totally fine, but just don't tell me it's because of the money.
Okay.
That's an excuse, right? Sometimes it's an excuse.
Yes. Oof. Like I teach sales, and I have to teach sales tonight. I have a conference. I think it hit me really in a good way.
Oh,
Thank you very much. Honestly.
I love sales.
Yeah,
so
me
fun.
too. And I was like afraid. At the beginning of my career, I was afraid. It was like the worst moment ever. Like I was teaching and I was very happy. And when the pitch came, I was like, oh, I don't want to do this. And like my whole energy changes. So I have like to fall in love with the sales process. And I see it like in a way, like I don't like to be pushy either. Like, and that's one of the reasons, like the people that work on sales on my team, they have a salary that will cover everything that they need.
That's
so
great.
What they make on top is for them, but they don't have to worry like, oh my goodness, I need to sell to everybody because otherwise I will not get the money enough to cover my expenses. So yes, but thank you for that. I have one last question that it's very like in our community, Latino community, like even with my family and friends, I see that they make this kind of comment to me, like you spend a lot of money on clothes, and I'm like, I love clothes. Why not to do it? So I don't feel like I regret or I don't feel guilt when I'm buying things that I want and make me feel look like better in the mirror, and I have the confidence to do like my keynote when I'm traveling around the world. So what do you think about because it is hard for some people, to have a good relationship with money, but when they got money and they're going to spend that money, they have this guilt inside of them. Why I did it, I shouldn't have it. So can you talk about that? Because I think that's going to be like the perfect story on the top.
So feeling guilt about spending money stems from a fundamental belief in scarcity.
Okay.
Because the undercurrent of that is, this is all there is.
Wow.
So we have to look underneath and say, like, is this belief rooted in abundance or is it rooted in scarcity? And guilt about spending money is rooted in scarcity, to just say that's all there is, I'm not going to have more. And so then it's just to look at that and say, like, the Byron Katie is an incredible teacher and spiritual leader, and she has this process called the work. And so you just ask yourself, is that true? Is that true? And then the second question is, can I be absolutely positively certain that that isn't true? And if the truth is, like, you can't say that this is all the money you're ever going to have. No, it's not true. It's just not true. And so then you can look at, okay, well, am I spending money in alignment with what matters to me? For you, it obviously is. Like, buying clothes brings you a lot of joy. It also makes you money.
Yes.
Because you feel
Yes.
so confident, right?
Yes.
And your public persona matters.
Yes.
And so we can really look at aligning our spending with our values so that we feel so good about where the money's going. And all that takes is a little attention and consciousness.
Wow, thank you very much, Kate. This interview was amazing. You have like one last message that you want to share with the community?
Yes.
Please.
The final message would be our net worth is not the same as our worth as a human. Your worth as a human is infinite, immeasurable, and no one can ever take it away from you. And the sooner we start to interact with money as a neutral, as opposed to defining our worth, the easier it is to make more money. It's kind of an irony.
Wow, no, thank you very much. You can you share your social media so people can follow you?
Yeah, so you can follow me at Kate Northrup on Instagram is the best place.
And Amazon, so you can buy her book. So thank you very much, Kate. Thank you very much for being part of this episode. And remember, the next episode, we are going to bring more people interested and really expert in some topic that will help you to succeed with your dreams.